The Conference of the Iron Princes has been concluded and Logan Seeger has been accepted and backed as the adopted heir of Nicholas Trogg. Margot Struben, responsible for the coup, has been imprisoned. Hans Upman lies in a magical sleep, bound by an unknown woman with connection to the Fae and an obsession with the Council. Logan now serves as the Iron Prince, but without lands, wealth, or any real power beyond the Accord of the Iron Princes. Brework's future, as ever, is uncertain.
God.
We close in on the upstairs of the bear house, where, shielded behind the wall of her runes, um, Runa is taking a bold chance on scrying on somebody who has been a thorn in the side of the the council.
Yeah.
I had her roll this the last time before we closed out, so that we wouldn't be doing it now. Um, and uh, the image that opens in front of her eyes, I don't believe that Runa has like notified anybody that she's about to do this. So she doesn't have anybody, ready to play pillow guard as she did when she looked in on the rune mage before.
Well, I think she wouldn't have just. I think she would have been like, hey, I'm gonna check in on this woman. I think I did say something. I could be
Okay.
wrong.
So let me know who she's notified and whether they're like in the room with her or not.
I'd assume I did it while both Honorine and Yatori were in the room still.
Okay, so Honorine and Atory are there. I think this is Atori's first time seeing her actually like scry on anything. Um, but uh, the the world kind of quickly fades away, and I had described the interior of this woman's residence before when I described it to uh, Arthur Wolf, of that there are murals up on all of the walls of like every member of the council. Murals that like sometimes Runa has seen to have happened, and sometimes don't she doesn't think they've happened yet. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And Arthur had taken him for like this is how each of these people are going to die, but Runa has had a bit more perspective and can see that they're just merely at maybe at the time that they were created, looking forward and into the future. Um, and um, the the woman is there, and Runa doesn't know if she's wearing yet another disguise. It's very clear that like she can change faces, like others can change clothes. She has very dark brown hair. She has none of the signs of like the runes of like a Vestin, but she has very Vestin features. Her hair is pulled back and away from her face, and she's standing over a cauldron um, with clear water filling it. And her fingers are curled and inside of it. And within the water itself, Runa can see the interior of the bear house. So you can see the people that are ill, like down on the ground floor. She can see, the Knights of the Rosencrantz that are moving amongst them. She can see, like Rosa and Len heading out one of the doors. The woman, her features are focused on what she's doing. Um, and there's a moment where Runa remembers the sense she had when she was scried on herself. Does that make sense? It was just sort of like a head tilt, like, hairs in the neck going up, and her head tilts in a really like similar way. Um,
Cool, cool, cool.
and her voice is soft, and she says, "Your lightning packs quite a kick."
You have to forgive my curiosity.
If you want me to hear you, you're going to have to stand somewhere that I can see you.
Fascinating. Um, she has to keep her eyes closed. Um, Honorine, if you wouldn't mind helping me down the stairs.
Uh, all right. Here, take my hand.
And she will.
She's got Runa's arm in hers, and she's like leading her, and is clearly there are a lot of questions on her face, but she for now keeps quiet.
So Runa can see herself in the image inside of the cauldron. And in it, she sees it looks like she's stepping out of fog from inside of the
Oh,
room that she's warded. Um, and she
she wants
says,
to look inside so bad.
there we go.
You have to forgive my curiosity.
She says, maybe not forgive, but I can certainly understand it.
What do you?
That's good enough.
Honorine's like, what? What do you mean? Because she's speaking out loud too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Honorine's like, I don't know what do you mean forgive?
And Tori's like, I think she's doing magic. Puts his hand over Honoриne's mouth.
Looks super offended. Like,
what did it's not like a hard graph. She can pull away if she wants to. What did Runa just say though?
Um,
after I can
enough.
understand it. Sorry.
She said that works. Well, seems now that I've got you here, would you perhaps have an antidote for Upman under the condition that he stays quiet?
The plans I'd hoped to prevent him from coming to ruin have already done so. I would be willing to offer it in return for a conversation.
Conversation. Is there a catch?
It's you and I alone. We can use this method. I don't need to meet you in person.
Okay. A conversation.
But she kind of, you see, she reaches over to like, there is a rack of glass vials along one wall. And with the understanding of just how powerful the single potion that she used on Upman is, it's like, it is kind of the same effect of like when you look at somebody, they've got like just rows of like assault weapons, like neatly organized. Tori had made it clear that like whatever kind of alchemy she's doing is on like another level compared to what most are capable of.
Yeah.
And she reaches up and she kind of like lifts one of the vials and like uh you can tell she can't tell exactly like where you are, the direction that you're looking from. She's just kind of showing it as like a peace offering.
She's looking in on her, she's looking in on Runa. That's a bit of a funny image.
Um, she says, I will send this via runner to the Bearhausen.
Thank you.
He will be disoriented. Most are after their first visit to Bryn Brazel.
Could you repeat that?
There's like a look that crosses her face of kind of like,
Player
it's not
didn't
like
hear it right.
yeah, it's not like well, she wouldn't actually know what the word means, so it's actually a completely appropriate response. Um, it's like, it's not quite patronizing, but it's like a reminder that like she has to um frame the things that she's explaining in a way that's understood.
Mhm.
She says the potion that he inhaled takes the mind to Bryn Brasail, the land of the She.
Okay. I understand more now.
Um, I will be direct with you. By now, you have certainly pieced together that I was responsible for the damage in the marketplace. That was twofold. One was removing somebody that I needed to replace, but my secondary target was given to me by my own superiors. The young captain,
So he was a target. That makes
certainly.
sense.
He is becoming something that is dangerous beyond the telling of it. Do you know what a glamour is?
I'm gonna need you to repeat that.
Did chat get you?
No, Rory did.
I just went.
It says, the young captain is a danger beyond measure. Do you know what a glamour is?
Vaguely.
Um, Within the magic of these islands, there is an ability to emulate particular legends. These legends are called glamours. They are the great heroes of the past. Robin Goodfellow with his bow, able to cut down the Montaigne army with a single quiver. The Stone Knight, unable to, or the Stone Knight, unable to be felled despite facing an entire army on his own in a single mountain pass. Uh, the Mad King himself and his ability to jump between shadows. There are many legends in Avalon. Some raise themselves to something more, something called a glamour. But your captain has no Avalon blood, and whatever force is raising him to that is most certainly not of these islands.
Does he pose a threat to you?
Most certainly. Not to me, to all of us.
And what if he doesn't fully become a glamour? That could be a possibility.
None of those who have become glamours have had much say in the matter. It is not to them, it is a matter of legend and reputation.
I don't appreciate my I don't appreciate my friend the attempts on my friend's life.
Then persuade him to turn aside from whatever path he's on, renounce whatever foul bargain he's made.
See what I can do. But until then, no more attempts are made.
I will give it time, but I both believe we understand that time is limited.
Sure. I assume I can reach you again like this.
Possibly.
I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Of that I have no doubt.
All right. Was
And
there anything else?
I'm thinking at that point your room like fades. You've had a fairly extended conversation.
Yes.
So, um, and Runa comes back to herself with, I don't imagine Notori has held on Rain's mouth for very long, but
An antidote for Mr. Upman is being sent here.
And as Runa opens her eyes, Honorine heard her side of this conversation, right? Like she's speaking out loud. Yeah, we said that.
yeah.
Honorine's like, what's going on?
This is a conversation we should have upstairs.
6 steps that way.
Yeah.
Turn around.
All right.
Just goes, not here.
Honorine very like ceremonially like turns and opens the door and waves Runa in.
Claire thought we were
No,
upstairs and everything, and
no.
we had to go downstairs.
Yeah,
that was my
wasn't.
thing.
No, that
Hence
wasn't.
why I said it.
That wasn't the upstairs. I'm just saying like that. So Runa is like, that would be a conversation we should have, back under my protection or whatever. So Honorine like turns and very ceremonially like opens the door and is like, well.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably brought her down to like the landing just below, but since Runa didn't know because she wasn't capable of seeing what was in front of her at the time, just getting her bearings.
Yeah.
They are after Hans.
He's one of the most wholesome people I've ever met.
But according to them, he's turning into something very dangerous.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to talk to him.
They're mad because Hans is a good guard captain?
No.
Mad because I'm fucking awesome. That's what they're fucking mad about.
The original phrasing that sprang to mind is they're mad because Hans is a badass, but Honorine wouldn't say that, so.
They're afraid because he is becoming a glamour. And she explains more. Because I forgot the whole thing. I need to start writing stuff down, but I have so little desk space.
Hard same. On the writing stuff down. I don't do it enough.
All right, so I'm going to drop the curtain there because we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to do today. And let me just... Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I want to give a content warning. While the Spirit of Seven Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes, and there's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves, starting with Runa.
Hi, I'm Ruth. You found me. I am here today as Runa. I'm also here on Tuesdays as Exit. I will also be here on Wednesdays. You'll see on Wednesday who will be here as. Super exciting. On Thursdays, I'm here as Nora. And that's about it. I'm gonna hot potato it over to Rory since Mike's on.
Yeah, fair enough. Hello, everyone. I'm Rory. I'm playing our wonderful Mr. Leg Day himself, the slowly getting more and more possessed Soldier Boy.
You.
You.
You were looking at your phone,
Bro.
You were not
Stop
locked
bullying me.
You were not ready. And I usually wait for the first like tone of Ruth's voice before I say it. So like I missed it too.
I'm so sad that I missed it.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Gotta
it's
try
fine.
again next Sunday.
Next time, Gadget.
Playing, yeah, wonderful fun character, and we'll see. I don't know, maybe we'll see why everyone's so angry about him being so cool. But aside from our wonderful Hans, you can find me here as well on the up and coming Wednesday, the 2nd, right? Yeah, Wednesday the 2nd. Something very interesting and exciting. And other than playing wonderful games with the wonderful people of Dirty 20 Gaming, you can find some past and work in progress music on SoundCloud, and you can find me here on twitch.tv/DJ Raker. Coming very soon now, putting the final finishing touches on that. Hopefully going to be launching that sometime in the coming week. Kind of improvised radio DJ Twitch stream show. But yeah, that's it for me. Ooh, so much power. So many people haven't gone yet. Let's give it over to Gav.
That's me. Hi. I am Bison_Stonefist. I'm a regular contributor on this channel, which is a fancy way of saying I have no life. I'm here 4 nights a week. Normally on Tuesdays, I run our Cyberpunk Red campaign, Carnage Heights. This Tuesday is Canada Day. Go Canada. So I will be doing Canadian things like getting drunk and listening to hoser stuff. Anyways, on Thursdays, I'll probably just be playing video games, I'll be honest. On Thursdays, I play Garrett Sakes, our resident punk and slash boogeyman on the City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. I had to remember the name for a second. And on Saturdays, when we're all able, I play Captain Calvin Scooter Hobbs of the Fortune's Favor on Starsworn, which is a Ironsworn Starforged campaign. It's very interesting. The system is unlike any other I've ever played. And it's an absolute riot. And tonight I'm playing Gav the Grin, our sewer surf and suplex machine. And let's take it to Rosa.
Not me. Okay, there we go. Hey y'all. I play Rosa tonight. My name is Sarah. I go by Sans on the Discord. I'm here a lot. I am in the Cyberpunk Red game, Carnage Heights, as Magic, Broken Heart of the team, also known as Hecate now. So we'll see where that goes. I am in the Wednesday game, and I don't want to go any further than that because the DM is not here, sadly. And on Thursday, I am the DM for the City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox, Pure Chaos Incarnate. Other than that, I'm working on stuff and things over on my own channel, Tangor Productions, with the Scarred Adventurer. And has Len gone? I'm throwing it down to Len.
Hi, folks. It's me. You found me. It's my bit now. I made it mine. I've filed the trademark. We'll just keep going, but that's all right. You can find me right now on Sundays playing Len, the ass of Asura Costin. And soon here, you can find me on Mondays for about 5 weeks running a Lovecraftian mystery of sorts called The Printer's Devil. We're gonna have some fun people in there. Sarah, Kevin, Janet are all going to be involved, and there's still one slot open if people can make 5 Mondays, hopefully in a row, at our normal time. But if not, I can do it with these 3, and it'll be, magic. Other than that, you can find me on the Discord, where I'm a unhinged menace, which is just kind of my brand everywhere, I suppose, these days. And other than that, over to our lovely producer and my lovely wife, Glory.
Hello. I am Blaze of Gloriosa. I go by Glory, and I am chronically on the Discord. I never get off that thing, honestly. You can also find me here in the producer's chair on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I'm super excited because we're going to be, 5 nights a week? 5.5, since I think Wednesday is running every other week. I don't know. Anyway, very excited about that. Today I am playing Honorine, who is a Montaigne noblewoman who is slowly going native, I feel like. Yeah. That's where we're at. Let's talk to our DM for a while.
All right. So I think, given where we drew the curtain and everything, oh wait, I have a thing still. Sorry, I was just gonna jump right into stuff.
We need to know if we're starting with a death, a slur, or a letter. That's the deal.
And why did that window just crash?
In the ancient days
All
of
right,
Numa.
so in the ancient days of Numa, I'm gonna fast forward through most of this because my window is literally being really weird and I'm gonna have to reset it. But we are starting with a letter, and in this particular case, that letter is picking its way through the streets of Freiburg in the hands of a young child porter who much of Freiburg's mail and messages are distributed through. Holy crap. Thank you, Bruna. I'm so sorry. Pause. We have a birthday. And we have set ourselves an extremely low bar in how good we are at singing Happy Birthday song. But we are going to try to get a little bit over it for the sake of our own Rosa Sands. So on 3, we're going to sing her. We're going to do all the verses of Happy Birthday, starting with the first, because we didn't really talk about it beforehand. So we're just going to go through the first and wish Sans a happy birthday. So on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you,
Sans.
Happy birthday to you,
Sans.
Happy birthday,
dear
Sarah.
Happy birthday
to you.
Okay, I don't know if we went over the bar or under it.
I think the lag just makes it worse.
I think
I had to take my headphones off.
I think we ran
couldn't do it with my
straight
headphones
into
on.
that bar.
Yeah. Like, have you seen
now
the
we're just
videos of like somebody
unconscious on the
like
ground.
running into like a pull-up bar and just like taking themselves out? Like that's
Oh
emotionally how I
no,
feel
we were the guy from the Olympics that took the bar down with him.
President.
There you go.
Damn it,
Kyle's,
Kyle.
Kyle's saving it for us.
That's an incredible reference.
Yeah, the chat is right. Fox says it was horror-based. And so you're not wrong.
Perfect for Sarah.
I kept singing
I loved
slower because hearing you guys after I had already sang the line was really tripping me up.
Yeah. We can only get better, I could hope. All right.
We all have to calculate everyone else's ping and delay ourselves by exactly that amount.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. We begin tonight, properly girded with a letter, the most seductive of the 3 and the most powerful. That letter is in the hands of a young messenger. Most of the messengers in Freiburg are sort of like the good children, whereas Gav and his crew of motley children are the bad ones. Although sometimes they, switch hats and pick up honest work, and sometimes the ones doing honest work pick up not so honest work. This particular letter is addressed to Honorine, and it says something that Honorine, who has tried so hard to disavow herself from having written a play for the Bear House, even the children know that they can find her there. So, um, just as, everybody's sort of like getting ready to head inside, the the child arrives, is immediately, kind of scooped up by Veronica, given something to eat and something to drink. The letter is taken, and she brings up and knocks upon the door, um, and offers it towards Honorine.
Okay. And what does it say?
Um, let's see. I just read it, so I know it's here.
So the letter that I sent out, that Honorine wrote to her, was really quick, and I'll just read it real quick,
Sure.
so that there's context. Treasured Charlotte, it has come to my attention that we have both taken up residence in the fair city of Freiburg. I was delighted at the news, and I would be overjoyed to converse with you very soon. There's a quaint establishment that serves an excellent tea service, and it would be my sincerest pleasure if you would join me on some afternoon. With warmest regards, Honorine Rosemarie Tiffin, 6 to 6, and the messenger was instructed to wait for an answer if needed.
And this has actually come sometime later. So the original messenger was like, I can only wait so long.
Right.
Um, but the message as she opens it, is says, "Dearest Honorine, oh, I'd heard word of an Honorine causing all manner of calamity here in Freiburg, but it was hard to imagine my mild-mannered cousin being involved in anything so scandalous. We will absolutely have to catch up sometime. My absolute favorite place in the city is a little museum in the Stone of Wiesen, or whatever they call it. It feels almost like there's some culture in the city, only enough to fill a building, but I'll take what I can get. With greatest excitement, Charlotte, I can't believe you're still using Rosemarie Rosendecisis."
Did she really leave the last one on there?
Yep.
That was catty. That was a really
Charlotte
catty
was
letter.
Charlotte was catty. Everything Honor remembers of her was like she was the one who was playing multiple suitors at a time. Um,
That was a really catty letter, though. I don't know if I want to accept that invitation now.
but so describe Honorine's reaction as she kind of like opens it in front of Runa and Ettori.
Yeah, she's gonna open it and kind of at first be like, "Oh, Charlotte replied," and then as she reads it, her head just slowly like tilts more and more to the side, and she finishes and she's like, I don't think she's glad to see me, or glad to hear from me. I don't think she's glad to hear from me," is what she says at the end.
Um,
Well, then she sucks. I said it when the mic was off.
we still got it. So since it has been some time, I think it's a good moment to kind of like having the PCs able to get together, since I think this is the first time they've been able to in a while without a bunch of stuff going on. And we don't have to do it all on camera, but I think there's some important information each of them has to share with one another as far as like recapping the battle and things like that. And like conversations with upmen and that kind of thing. So I want to just kind of like I'm going to be doing this as like sort of like a montage, like if we can imagine, everybody kind of sitting in the bear house and talking and updating each other. But I want to know, like, is there anything in particular that your character is bringing to everybody else, um, etc. Um, and the other thing I want to note is that a long delayed reputation award because of the battle, it's going to be getting through the city, that they acted to prevent, more destruction from the Relaskier. That has changed reputation specifically with each of the factions, but it's also generically granted 10 reputation to everyone, including Rosa, because she didn't get to dodge out of it this time. And she's also gotten 5 reputation from her work with Wilma Probst. You thought you'd avoid it forever, but no.
Ooh,
This is because of the 7
40
curse
rapid.
dice.
It's
I tried
bothering
to.
me because I'm 1 away from 30.
Well, 25 is the point at which you get a patron. So like somebody who's kind of personally investing in what it is that you're up to. Um, for Runa, I imagine that's somebody who's like specifically patroning the bear house and like the set design and stuff like that, and is quite over the moon about it. And so has been donating some money on the regular to make sure that the next production is just as lavishly designed or executed.
Cool.
Oh wait, that was I didn't add that. Sorry, I got confused. I thought that was from previous big battle where
No, that's
shows
the
dodged. Okay. Oh yeah, that's the new one.
Oh, wow.
God, I'm okay.
So I'm going to start with Rosa. What is it that you're kind of bringing, observations that she's had? She's like seeing the Lady in Green's Arcana, which is unique. And I imagine that there's a lot. There was a lot we covered really with the princes and leading up to everything. And I think this is the first time they've had like talk, decompress, and sort of update each other.
Is this before or after the conversation with Gaff?
Um,
Yeah, I think we kind of need to have that one first because I thought things that they shared were going to change depending on how they came out.
So I imagine that their chat is probably them sitting around like a table in the warded room in the bear house and sharing like tea and or whiskey depending on everyone's preference. So it could just be that they just had the argument with Gav and now they're sitting and it's gonna come up.
so this is going to put things a bit out of continuity. Are you guys comfortable having this as a conversation that happens post the private conversation between Rosa and Gav? The assumption that they go fairly quickly to have that, and that will kind of cut to that in flashback after this.
that works.
That
It
works.
works.
All right. And uh okay, so let's assume that there's been the argument, you know what I'm saying? But there's also been I think you guys talked a bit about what you intended to talk about, and we can assume at least some measure of reconciliation. I mean, maybe a full-throated forgiveness, maybe it's just sort of like we're at least back to a point where we're calling each other friend again, you know. So,
Mhm.
um,
So yeah, she would tell about like what she saw with the Arcana and all of that.
Gav would um again he says it specifically to Hans, but obviously it's to the group. That Upman and Margot are safe, they're well fed, but Upman still hasn't woken up. He's not sure why.
It's been
But he's afraid of letting a doctor see him. But
I do know what's wrong with him. He is. I forgot what the specific potion was called. He's under the effects of a potion. I assume the runner with the potion.
hasn't arrived yet. They're going to
Um,
arrive during the course of this meeting.
Okay. An antidote is on the way. I scryed on the woman in green. We had a conversation.
Hmm.
And
Sweet.
I don't know if she wants to have this conversation with Hans in front of literally everyone.
It is some kind of poison he was affected by then, or
It
makes you
keeps.
sleep for longer than usual.
He could be asleep for centuries, I believe. Without antidote.
Huh.
He is mentally currently in the land of She.
that will lead to
That-
a very interesting conversation, considering the last one we had. And just sort of a quick eye to Rosa.
Also,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. She will have this conversation in front of everyone because I feel like everyone should know. There are people out for your head, Hans.
Yeah, I mean,
The deal you've made, is there any way to back out of it? Or are we gonna have to come up with a really good way to protect you?
Why?
I want to interject and ask a question. We recently updated Hans's token, and his eyes are very distinctly different.
they are
Has
very
that happened
distinctly
yet?
different.
And if it has, could you describe them to everybody?
That has happened in the interim since the battle when he kind of went off to his own quarters. He had the new armor and the leg guards and whatnot, but he's since returned a little bit more, even more so, pale and kind of sickly looking. It's the way he's acting. He seems fine. Doesn't seem like he's like dying or diseased or anything. He's just kind of pale and hollow looking. His hair has darkened quite significantly. Pardon me. And his eyes are now, his scleras are fully black. His irises have turned this kind of like piercing mid dark blue. And his pupils almost look slightly jagged or fragmented within the kind of crazy blue irises.
My friend Hans, I say this with love. I can turn into a bear, and I don't undergo as many changes as you recently have. It is worrying.
When was the last time you ate, my friend? You are all skin and bones.
As someone who works with magic, and she holds her hands up because they're pretty much black now. Are you okay?
I feel fine. I don't feel any ill effects from anything that has been going on.
You've
You're
seen your
turning
eyes?
into a glamour, and that's why they want to kill you. They're scared.
What?
Turning into a what?
First of all, exactly a what?
Yeah.
A
I still
glamour.
don't understand. Like, Runa explained this, and Andrian's like, I still don't understand that part.
What? He just kind of looks around that whole table.
You've made a deal, haven't you?
That's what all of this is about. I mean,
I guess so.
I thought everyone knew. I mean, at this point, I'm
Yeah,
not
but
told
I
everyone.
only recently found out that your life was on the line because of it.
What?
His
What
life
do
is
you-
on the line because he made a deal?
He's turning into something dangerous, apparently.
Can I
I don't know
roll
much. I want to help. I want them to not be trying to kill you anymore.
Can I look at Hans's card?
Yep.
Ooh, I wonder if anything's happened.
So 5, 8, keep 3.
Hans Ulrich multipass.
46.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Double
So
explosion.
Hans's card is the chariot, am I right? Or strength,
Strength.
strength, sorry. And he is the only change to his card is that more and more armor is appearing on him. His sword is appearing on him in the card. Does that make sense? Every physical change that he's had is reflected, and you can still see like the presence of something shadowy that like seems to like wrap around his card. The same something shadowy that wraps around Honorane's.
So this thing that I saw when grandmother and the thing spoke.
But it's not significantly different.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, so eyes go black. They come down. You card looks relatively the same. More armor, more your sword's there, but it doesn't look any different.
I assume that is normal then. I don't know much about these sorts of things.
I can't look at my own card, can I?
Nope.
Okay.
It's probably pretty sick though. But it looks pretty cool.
She knows what her card is because someone else told her, but after everything that's happened, I'm curious. Yeah.
Subtle changes to Arcana are not like wildly out of bounds. Does that make sense? And it's fairly normal for in the Arcana, the person involved to be like in it in some way. For those who have cards like the Tower, it tends to be unnoticeable because that person tends to be like a tiny figure like on the tower. And so you're not likely to see it. But for most, like you might see it as like a reflection of like self-image in a lot of ways. Does that make sense? Somebody who's had a hair color for years and suddenly changes it, it's not going to change in their card.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But if somebody were to like be badly traumatized and scarred and stuff like that, that might appear really quickly because that's immediately affected their sense of their self. Does that make sense?
So Runa would have the gash on her forehead.
Interesting.
That's fascinating.
And Gavin noted there was a double explosion, but since it's just seeing, doesn't do anything. She's not manipulating anything.
I wasn't sure.
But get them out of your system while you're looking at Arcana.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the concern arises, friend Hans, because the glaring physical changes. I'm glad that you still feel well and yourself, but you are starting to resemble the undead. You're extraordinarily pale. You look like even if you've gotten sleep, it doesn't look like you've ever gotten sleep. At this point, your pupils are definitely edging away from any human or natural eye. And it sounds like whatever's happening is bad enough that the Fae, she is Fae, right? And he's going to look at Runa. That's what we determined, is it?
I think so. Arthur would know more.
Arthur,
but he's not here.
He keeps
Probably
missing
fighting another pit.
I hope he's all right.
I hope
a hangover.
It's Arthur. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's actually probably at this point with Logan, who's getting things set up for.
Yeah, but it's more fun to accuse him of being drunk.
It is, but I'm just noting as the GM.
Yeah.
So
it can be both. It's Arthur.
So Honorin's gonna look at Hans and ask him, like, if you don't mind saying, what was the bargain?
Oh, perhaps I've not told everybody, but
I don't think he told Honorin, at least. I don't think she knows it.
Rosa doesn't know.
None of us know what the deal is.
Is that there was.
We know that you used to be dead, and now you got better.
Yeah. I know that I did tell everyone about that. Well, I mean, that is the deal. I am leaving again because I have. When he awoke me from death, from being deceased. The Shadow Man of the Schwarzenwalden mentioned there is chaos and darkness coming for this place, and that there is a war or some kind of apocalyptic event foreshadowed to be rapidly approaching. And he tasked me with raising an army to meet this incoming threat. And I assume that meant everyone here. I assumed that just meant joining a group of capable people to protect this place.
Is there a possibility that The Fae don't like the Scatton man, and thus that's why they don't like Hans.
Well, of course they're doing it out of fear.
I mean, from what I know, there's not many people that do like him. He's quite a
He has quite the
disturbing
reputation.
Yeah, indeed. He's a reputation for death and destruction.
I would point out that right now Henri has in her possession an entire book filled with stories of the Scatman man doing horrible things to peasants. So,
Yeah.
Yep, and I think part of the worry could be that you're succeeding at that, Hans. You are the face, honestly, of the council at this point, or at least the one who garners the most attention with your duties as a guard captain and all the things you've been sort of lifted up in and shown to be. And that can make you a threat to many parties, let alone any mystical influences being in the works as well.
I mean, yeah, I no knowledge of such otherworldly magics before this happened. If it is of offense to a group of, if it is offense to some, if it is of offense to magical entities, I don't know what to do, to be honest.
Because I don't assume you
Until
can
we
go.
know what happens with, until I know what is to happen with this, with whatever we're trying to do in the long run. But there's no end in sight for me.
I don't. I assume this deal is what's keeping you alive.
So this woman wants Hans to die or return to dead?
She, from what I understand, wants him to discontinue the deal, but from what I understand, it's keeping him alive. So they're going to keep trying to kill him. It feels like a double-edged sword, but I
feel like
I may have a way where they can't look in on you. She can't see you. I think I can do that.
If I go ahead and access my GM-sponsored memory banks, to what degree is state of life connected to completing this objective? Has it been stated ever? Has it ever been?
It's not been stated explicitly.
Okay.
It's never been stated what happens if he goes back on his part of the deal. Or even how he would go about doing that. What he does know is that he can sure as hell suffer nightmares every day for months. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he could be doing good and probably still have nightmares for a whole month.
So, as far as the exactly like what it means, or what it would entail if he were to try to like back out, he has no idea. It's never been part of a conversation.
Although with a being like this, one would assume that even if you can get out of the deal, their enmity afterwards would likely be fatal anyway.
Yeah, that is.
But I will say that the gods of my homeland have gone out of their way to warn me about dangers, including especially what could be unleashed if the Wachtturm were ever destroyed. And they haven't said anything yet to me about Hans being a threat or a danger. So I don't know, is he becoming only a danger to Avalon?
According to her, everyone, but I don't see it.
I don't either. I worry about our extremely fast friend.
I do as well.
And what it's doing to him, because if it keeps making changes like this, hero of the people or not, it's going to start driving opinion of him and what he does down among the populace. It's not fair, but it's all but inevitable. A war wound people can accept. Becoming a walking white, that's unfortunately a harder sell, no matter how heroic you may be.
The people in Freiburg are much more practical than I found elsewhere. It's entirely possible that Hans, with his reputation for good deeds, I mean, if he looks a little quirky, I think people will overlook it.
A little quirky, yeah, but we don't know that this is the end of
Can I
the
have a quick?
changes.
I just want a quick wits roll from everybody, real quick.
Just straight wits?
Yep.
Okay.
19.
That's a D12.
Oh,
Well,
Holy
damn.
shit.
18?
All right, I'm gonna give this fully to Hans. So
Yeah,
you
32.
look in the mirror and you see like, this like view of yourself that these others are seeing. These are your close and trusted friends. You have walked in and out of the Bearhausen, past Knights of the Rosencross, past your own guards, past the actors, and nobody has responded to the way that you look.
Interesting. Okay.
And your eyes are fucking otherworldly at this point.
Yeah, it's completely inhuman. Like this, they look weird as hell.
Gav got a 32.
Nice.
Awesome. So you're also like right there with Hans. That like you guys are seeing this, but like there should have been like a murmur or something from downstairs. You get what I'm saying? Especially as kind of keyed in is Gav has been through recent conversations about like superstition and sorcery and he knows the people of Freeburg, they do not trust sorcery. They're the only nation that does not have it. And so finds it the strangest.
It's like it is strange how people do not seem to notice. He kind of a sidelong glance to Rosa again. The people in Eisen are often very superstitious. We're told to fear sorcery because we do not understand it. And
Yeah.
the fact that nobody says anything is very odd.
You do make a good point. As far as I know, the eyes have only been the quite recent development, but I mean, I've noticed that I've been growing more and more pale and rather sickly looking for some time, and it is only now that I kind of realize it has never really been brought up by anyone else until now.
Not even Herr Loring?
No,
Should we get a couple of the strapping lads from downstairs to come up and tell us what they think of our brave captain here?
I mean, it would be a good test.
All right,
Oh,
we'll have
Runa's
Veronica.
done some work with these people, so maybe she should go get them.
that would work.
Veronica and Alejandra are both about like very easily.
is as somebody's going to like grab someone else to go look.
She'll
Is there
peek. Runa will
possi-
peek out the room and like see if Veronica's nearby.
Yes, she is.
She'll ask her to bring it.
Is there a possibility no one else can see it?
That's what we're going to test.
No, it is entirely possible.
I think there would be at least some rumors now, no matter how much good he's done.
But what makes us different?
Our bond.
And she,
Perhaps.
Veronica, like peeks her head in the door. She's like, "Is it casting call time?"
No, darling.
She kind of like, "Shoot, I've been working on my singing all week."
Oh,
And I'm sure you're doing great.
She like slips in and closes the door.
You notice anything odd about anybody in the room right now?
Rosa does have her gloves off.
Um, yeah, and her eyes kind of like survey. They do widen a little bit when she sees Rose's hands, but she's kind of like looking over everyone. She says, "I don't know. Is that?" When she like points to Rose's hands first off, she's like, "Did that happen in the fighting?"
Yes, it did.
She says, "If you send a doctor yet, I can go fetch one."
No, it's all right. I'm figuring it out.
Um, she says, "Well, I really like Gav's new hat, and I'm still a little on the fence about Len's beard going away. I mean, I can understand it. It's a lot to maintain. Some people can't deal with the itchiness."
I was thinking of growing it back, actually. This bare chin thing is bothering me.
She says, "I'm very pro beard, but from Vidachi, we love our shows of virility." And she says, "And speaking of which," she kind of cups Hans's face and like fully looks into his eyes. She's like, "You need to shit or get off the chamber pot with this beard."
Dude, I don't know what to tell you. This is I must have gotten. I don't know what to tell you. This is the
She
best
says,
I've got.
it either needs to be full and viral, she says, and I think you might need some more potatoes in your diet or carrots. She says, maybe that will help. She says, but I would say either, she says, get rid of it. She says, or get all of it.
You know, I will give it a shot. I'll go get start making more stews with carrots and potatoes and see if that helps.
He has the loveliest eyes, Alejandra, doesn't he?
She kind of smiles and she says, "I'm never looking at his eyes when I look at him." And she just like completely winks at Hans. And you kind of have the impression that Veronica like knows that like Hans is like not interested in her. Because she like is fully willing to sort of sashay in a way she doesn't around anybody else, especially in like during the faux flirting, right?
Yep.
And she kind of comes over to Runa. She says, "You look happier than I've seen you in a while."
Thank you.
Oh,
She says, "Even with all the work on the stages and people messing up the stage right now," she says, "you don't seem as worried about it as you were a few days ago."
There are bigger things.
Um,
Not a lot, which we have control over.
and she says, "And Honorine looks lovely as always, and still has not told me how her date with Conan Fischler went, for which I will eventually forgive her." She kind of puts her hands on her hips. She's like, "Does that hurt?"
That's actually everything. Yeah, that's perfect. We just wanted to check in with somebody we trust who's not involved in the day-to-day of this.
And she looks to Honorine and she says, "Leading role in the next play," and backs up.
Well,
That woman
as soon as
is a
the doors
treasure.
closed, she is. As soon as the doors closed, Lynn's just like, well, I think that proves it. Nobody outside this little group, and I don't know, possibly those with a keener sorceress sight.
I could. You live close by, I could always bring Brandy over.
I mean, if you'd like to test with someone more magically inclined,
Yep.
Because
That
if she
aside,
can't see it, then it's just us.
I mean, if she can see it and it's only people with some form of. Well, I can't say it's even only people with some form of magic because Gav doesn't have magic.
no, that much is
No.
true.
He's got them hands, but he doesn't have
Yeah.
magic.
The
And speaking of,
untouchable hands.
Different
I-
kind of magic.
different kind of magic entirely. And kind of on that note, Gav, my big friend, I owe you an apology. I do not know why I got so angry. It was like we were starting to have a reasonable conversation, and my anger just went crazy. Um, you know, I still feel like some justice needs to be done, but I think the worry that the threat Upman could offer in the secrets that he knows of us, coupled with the fact that we almost all died again, save but for one fortuitous tackle. I don't know. I'll work on it, but you are my brother in arms, and while sometimes I might want to kind of door knocker you when you're not looking, um, you're my friend, and I'm sorry.
You were afraid for someone who is very close to you. I can understand that. It leads men to do strange and crazy things. Herr Upman will have a very different view on the world when we finally wake him. I believe that our next words to him will be very important in how he continues to see us.
Agreed.
Agreed. Besides, I want one of those coats.
I am sorry for being so on guard. He's a good man. He is just... This world is moving faster than he would like.
Ain't that the way?
He is downstairs still, by the way. I did not actually move them.
Oh. Okay, off to murder then. No, just...
Next scene is Gavin Len crashing through the window or the wall of that room down onto the floor.
Runa walking down calmly with the antidote, just like, are you gonna need this?
No, he says off to murder immediately.
Honey, where's my murder stick? But yeah, no, he's just like, all right, well, we do need to keep them safe for now.
So I believe at the last session also Runa had disclosed about the ruin.
Literal ruin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a problem.
That is, I did want to bring up that I feel like we should talk to our new Iron Prince or Wilma and just arrange for more guards and eyes on the Wachtturm for a while. I know it's supposed to be invincible, but Runa tells us that that's actually effectively a god of ruin, or demigod of ruin wandering around, and I think that's quite a bit more
literally
dangerous.
Melted his cell.
Yeah, who melted him out of his cell. Is that weird that there were cells though?
Yeah,
yes, it is weird.
Wait a minute.
That is true.
This man is ruined, huh? He is, yes, the same thing you have on your shoulder. He also
Am I melting slowly? Sorry.
Yeah.
That wasn't
a
character.
Birthed the Sverslingen. Remember the vision?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
He has nothing but bad news.
That is concerning.
And his mobility is frightening.
What's also concerning is why he felt the need to murder the Iron Prince that he did in front of witnesses.
I have half the mind to ask him, but we know how that's going to go.
We can line a room with pillows.
Oh.
I tried to ask him and he wouldn't speak to me.
It's probably not a bad thing, all things
Did you ask Investin?
I don't speak Vestin.
He may not know Montaigne or Eisen.
Might have been all Donde.
He's a Vestin demigod.
Really quick.
There's only one true language. No.
I remember previously, amidst all of the initial meetings with the Iron Princes, was it ever discussed with everyone, with all characters, what Hjorgrund was up to, what kind of all his occult obsessions? I don't remember if that was brought to everyone or not.
I don't think Runa actually discovered it at the time because he mostly talked about the wasting swamp. And then Honorine discovered it by virtue of kind of meeting him in his office and
Mhm.
subsequently
And noting some of
stealing
the
his
things
shit.
over there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And later looting the fuck out of him.
Stealing all
Speaking
his-
of which, some of the things that Henri needs to loot are still in that inn. Um,
And Honorine will say, like, when the time is opportune, I guess, she'll talk about exactly what transpired between her and Hilgrun before he was melted. Because I don't think she had the chance to tell everyone
That he was
like,
trying to shoot her? No.
that he was about to shoot
No.
her, that he was holding a gun on her. You know,
He was going for the
Ah! Rosa, upon hearing that someone had a gun pulled on you, instantly angry. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It's okay, Rosa. He got what was coming to him.
She's still here. She's all right. She's
He
okay.
deserved it.
He's a pile of mush.
he
He is of no harm to your sister anymore.
let's not talk about the mush, please. But yeah, but before that he was very determined to find the figure that I gave you, Hans.
Hmm.
And I'm glad I didn't know where it was. Continue to not let me know where it is, please. But he said he could sense it. He said that he knew it was there, knew I knew where it was, all of that. I'm not sure how he knew those things.
he said he could sense it.
Mm-hmm. He said he had felt it in the building. So there was clearly some sort of connection there.
I wonder if part of his problems were the fact that he made and then broke a deal.
Oh. Perhaps. It
Would have been.
could. Perhaps he
His
was
lands
cursed.
are where the mature Verschlingen are.
Yeah. And you saw he had scars and that withering of his
Yes.
body.
Did not look very good.
No,
Could
he may have been
tell.
looking for a way out of the default clause of his contract.
Is that what was referred to as the White Plague, Siosa?
no, there's the whaling sickness. The White Plague is something else. The White Plague still pops up periodically, but its height was like 400 years ago, where I think it wiped like a quarter of the population off the map.
Damn.
Outbreaks of it are rare, but it is known that survivors are not contagious. So
Okay.
yeah, Brandy actually bears the marks of a White Plague survivor, but she's like nobody's afraid of it because they know that like if you just have the scars, like you're not a danger to anybody. It's when they're actively sick, and it's obvious when they're actively sick.
Tough kid.
Mm-hmm.
That's my niece.
Yep. It's actually on the art that I did for the character. Like she has some marks they're really faint, but you can see them. I'm gonna pop her up just so the chat can see her.
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost like alopecia. Is that the
Vitiligo.
vitiligo? That's it.
Yeah.
Alopecia's balding.
The hair one, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got that.
So
Yeah.
all right.
So Henrian has conveyed, like, when I went back up to see what mischief he may have been up to when he didn't follow us, he threatened me, and then when it looked like he was about to shoot, that's when your friend, Runa, showed up and prevented him from shooting a second time. I mean, he shot once already, but
He's certainly not my friend. But I get
noted.
what you mean.
We all have our
She's like,
tricks.
let me be clear.
I
Super
unfollowed him
not.
months ago.
Relationship
well.
status, it's complicated.
As if he was trying to prevent him from getting at any of the wood.
No, he already had Blackwood.
He did?
Whether he could do anything with or in it is another question.
He had Blackwood. I saw it when I went to meet him about the explosion.
Oh,
He had a lot of lore in his room.
he wasn't even deeper than me. Oh God.
And the way that Honorine looks when she talks about the lore is like how a starving man might talk about soup. Like, she is thinking real hard about that, and she wants all of those books.
Do you need help procuring any of what might be left behind?
I would love to actually take possession of anything left that's in his room. Doubt much of it's left now, though.
Well, Gav, can you check around with your connections to the underground and see if you can hear about any books of that nature recently going on the market? See if we can try and track down some of, I have no doubt somebody broke into that room and made off with stuff.
I think I know exactly the man who would be interested.
Perfect.
Who breaks into a guy's room and runs off with his books? That's out of character.
I was gonna say somebody with some really good
Crickets.
knowledge.
Crickets.
Meow meow.
So, I'm really enjoying the group scene, but do we want to cut to kind of some individual?
Yeah.
Do we still want to do the Rosa Gab conversation in flashback, kind of as like, a few minutes before? I think that's the most pressing to do time-wise, like as a flashback. We can just assume that they like were talking in like the costume room or something like that, someplace
Yeah,
they'd
it
have
works.
privacy.
Yeah, before everybody like goes up, it's like, do you have a second to talk in private, Rosa? I would like to speak.
Sure, Gav.
They sit down. It's just sort of a little side area in the back. Firstly, I'm very sorry. I did not mean to get angry, and he's like, Hans Upman is not a bad man. He is scared. And he cannot tell anyone anything. He is asleep. And I cannot wake him.
How?
Something the Selkie did, the woman in green.
Right. That absolutely helps.
And Margot knew nothing about the bombing in the market. Even the clever decisions that were done with the paint, that was not her.
So she is only there to take the fall then?
I think she was distraction.
For what?
I do not know. I was hoping Herr Upman would be able to give us more and that we'd be able to cross their stories, but
It doesn't seem possible.
he's like, there's like a long pause, and he's like, I believe in what the Velasquier want. I do not trust how they are doing it. But I also believe Logan Seeger will make a good Iron Prince. And that if we are able to do anything to make this city better, they need to talk in a way that does not involve knives or gunpowder.
I did not want to hurt Margot. It was only Upman, and it was only after I saw how he reacted to me.
You do not understand. We are told stories of the power of witches, what they can do, what they cannot do. And we have no magic of our own here in Eisen. I am fascinated by what you and Runa and Honorine can do. And Len. I do not want to fight Len. A bear is very heavy.
And in Vodachi, it is known that you do not fight a man with a strega.
I promised Captain Hans I would keep them safe from anyone. And perhaps I took that a little too seriously. And I got angry. I am sorry.
I am sorry as well. I don't know where my anger came from.
You were afraid.
And she makes sure to have her mask off, gloves are off.
Kev understands you were afraid. You were afraid the Inquisition would come after you. I understand.
See. Gav, do you... I don't believe you know that. Padre Siosa and I have known him for a very long time.
He raises an eyebrow. Well, he can't. He doesn't have any. I did not know this.
When I lived in Vodachi, he was my family's padre. The holy man we went to. We went to sermon every week. I
go to his sermons when I can.
I heard how they think of me. How I should not do my magic. And yet, when I am at home, I am trained in how to see strings and how to help my husband when I grew older. Do you not see how that can rip a person apart?
You are told to both lie to yourself and to be true at the same time. And none of your power belongs to you.
Exactly.
We will get through this, Rosenix. The council is strong, but only when we are together.
And you need to understand, the Inquisition is not just after Strega. They're after me. Padre Siosa saved me from the Inquisition when I was a small child. He saved me from this. And she actually does motion to her face. He saved me because of who I was, who I am.
Herr Upman is not a fool. He is not a stupid person by any means.
That is what I'm afraid of. If he were to realize, and I did the most stupidest thing. I have not told Len. I have not told anyone else. Upman saw me with the journal.
We will deal with that when we talk to him. But know this, Rosenix. People are afraid of things they do not understand. Herr Upman does not understand you. If you get to know him and he gets to know you, I think this will change. It worked for me.
I have seen how others who don't like what I do are affected. I have seen how their opinions do not change.
You are
If anything,
very,
they see more magic and they get more afraid.
you are a very convincing person, Rosanix. Your heart is true. I believe that Herr Upman will see this. If not, I will show him. He sort of makes a little.
Grazie, Gav.
If we have time later and you are you able to do a reading?
Si.
I have a very important decision to make, and I do not know what stone to set in the ring.
Immediately, Rose is just like, I need to.
Is there a squeal audible outside of the costume chamber?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And it is like, tell me everything.
We should get to the meeting place to drop curtain.
We should get to the meeting first.
All right.
Can't even have Zoom chat off now.
You've known that.
Okay, so that kind of brings us up to current moment. And now we have a couple things going forward. I kind of want to address them, not in any particular order, just because they're what I feel is. Does anybody want to go with Honorine to retrieve what she can from the inn where Garrett was?
Len will go.
Does she need use of a Strega? Because she'll go, but like,
I'll go.
Okay. So the I'm actually going to have Hans here as well because the place is actually under lock by the guard at the moment.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
Right. And also his guards like beat the shit out of a bunch of city guards, right?
Yeah, and Hans kind of gets a story from the one guard who's like on watch out there, which is that like Garrett, the innkeeper, is still recovering from his injuries. They left him for dead.
What? They beat him that badly for what?
I don't
Did they
know.
say anything?
I presume because he was witness to the murder they did. It says we found. He says this. I think he lost his arm beforehand because we couldn't find it. He says, but his whole scalp had been cut off. And they smashed his head in with a mace from behind.
What?
And this is exactly matching the description of Odell, Hilgren's like man. He says that body was cold when we got here. And he says, but Garrett was still alive. He had a hell of a crossbow under that counter his and put it through at least one of them and started shouting up a storm. That was why the guard came. He's one of the best payers in this area. We always make sure somebody's nearby. Says the first of our guard that went through the door died. So did the second. He says, and after that, you've got half the guard of the city coming to this building. He says, which is why the ghosts were fighting their way out.
We should go talk to Garrett.
And they fled the city, correct?
Oh, they're gone. He says, but they're and they let you know like where Garrett's staying. And Hans can I'm not going to require a roll for it. Like talk them into letting Honorine go in to like collect something. It is awash in blood inside. Like there is like 7 crossbow bolts in the walls. But like blood all over the place. It's not quite as bad as the room where Hilgrund was, but there is a lot of the aftermath of death here. You have an advantage called architecture sense, which we've never really had any use for before. But in figuring out exactly where the things that Garrett would have dumped down that little like vent would end up, I'm gonna like skip having any kind of roll because she just sort of like does the like over here, okay, and opens it up and she finds the little statue there. She finds the emptied treasure chest of gems that are all still there. It was like a double hand size kind of chest,
Right.
like a vanity chest over like a huge chest. So there's a lot. And when she goes upstairs, it looks like the entire room where they had been looting, the ghosts went through rapidly and just sort of tore through, taking everything that looked immediately valuable and light to them and left everything else behind. Some of the books are semi-ruined, they could possibly be repaired. Some of them are fine. She could walk out of here with a cart full of them, though.
And so Honoring's going to make arrangements to have all of the books and journals and whatnot shipped to the Bear House.
It's perhaps because of the recent events that you have a new appreciation. There are multiple books on the sheet here in Bryn Brazil.
Yeah, and so it's going to be kind of like a, I assume like moving day with less pizza and beer, where like she's kind of like, okay, she's setting one pile aside to take to Honolulu and see if she can help repair them. She's setting one pile aside to try to get as much as she can out of and whatnot. And the ones that are just like basically a cover with nothing inside or whatever, like she's just gonna, the ones that are all washed, she's just gonna leave away.
All right. Who's going in with her and who's kind of staying up front?
Yeah, I'll go and
Len will
take a
stay
look
up
around.
front. Just kind of
Runa,
keep an eye out.
what's Runa doing?
Hey Siri, flip a coin. She's going in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody but Len. It's just kind of.
I guess Rosa said she'll go if Honorine needed her, but
Honorine doesn't need her. She's welcome to come if she'd like, but if she doesn't want to, like, that's fine too.
sounds good.
So I imagine Hans and Runa are both kind of being roped into like helping pick up stuff and load it and stuff like that. Lena's getting the details from the guard about like where Garrett is at the moment. And as they're speaking, a woman approaches. She's like 6 foot if she's, an inch.
Is she hot?
So for like a character model, like the person that I have in my head is I am blanking on her name at the moment, but the large blonde knight woman from Game of Thrones,
Brienne
Brienne of Tarth.
Brienne of Tarth. She
Yeah, she's hot.
she has a cloak that like goes all the way down to her ankles, but Len has never seen her before. And she kind of looks back and forth between Len and the guard. There's like a little like moment of puzzlement. She says, I understand that this is the residence of Koenig Heelgrund, or was.
It definitely was.
She says, I need to search the premises.
Under whose authority?
And she like reaches under her cloak and she bears a smith's hammer with a mark on it. And you see the guard's eyes go wide.
The hell does that mean?
She's a nibbler.
He says that's a nibelung.
Oh, fuck.
And he like bows his head. He says there are some people inside cleaning, and she says she kind of smiles and she says, "Right, Freeberg. I'm sure they're cleaning."
Sounds like we have a reputation, but we should have a reputation.
He's just gonna look at like whichever guard is talking and be like, all right, real quick, catch me up on this. Would Len know what an evelung is?
The woman speaks and she says, "I am a forger of Drakenisen."
Oh, well, there's not any of that up there, but
She says there should be, and I need to look for it. The Imperator's breastplate is missing. A
Let the
unique
hot
piece,
lady in.
all right, well, I'll have to accompany you. Come along.
She says, "How chivalrous."
One doesn't
The
have
hammer that she has,
Draconizen.
the hammer that she has is pure Draconizen.
Yep.
Good for her. Everybody
So-
should like collecting things.
That's just how cool those guys are.
And he'll just lead it out. Just be like, we've got a Nibelung here to investigate. The guards didn't seem to want to get in the way, so.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's tall, she's blonde, she's very like
Statuesque.
yeah, she's very statuesque. She's not built like bodybuilt or huge or anything like that, like because Smiths tend not to actually be that way. It's more about one weight used repetitiously than like lifting the heaviest thing possible. So, but she does take note that like Hans is the only other Eisen that's there, and she kind of like nods her head to him. And she says, there is a piece of Dracheneisen that was in the Koenig's possession that must be retrieved.
Oh, I put it. It is still in the room where he passed. I just hid it so no one would be inclined to steal it.
She looks like an immense wave of relief like passes through her.
You
I
want
just
me
didn't
to
know who
escort her to
rightfully to
it?
give it to.
Or Hans, do you want to escort her?
I
It
have
would
the
be in
I
the
know where it
Drachenstone.
is.
yeah,
What if-
I have the keys.
Can I escort?
I can. I know where it is. I have access to the premises it is stored on.
And Runa's gonna tell him where she put it.
Well, then I'll tag in to help organize and move the books.
How much of Hans's Dracheneisen is visible when he is not like calling it?
Oh.
I think by nature. Oh, it depends. Oh man, I've never properly thought about this. Because
You seem to have the Panzer hand more or less
Yeah.
at all times.
he's always
it's
got
usually
the hand
held
on
in
his
a bag.
person. But yeah, he used to keep that in a pouch. But
You're a captain now.
let's see here. Let me.
This doesn't
Gonna-
mean you wear the war gauntlet around. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Just seems easier
okay.
to wear the big punchy fist than
Evens and odd. Evens. Okay, odd. No, he's still keeping it in the bag. He's still keeping it in a pouch.
Okay.
Theoretically, only his sword actually is exposed.
Okay.
Because I bought a better sword.
You see her eyes like study the sword. And like she almost reaches out and then kind of like draws her hand back. And she's like, "May I?"
Oh, yes, of course. He'll like take it out and present it.
Yeah, and she takes it like she clearly is used to the lightness of Draconeisen. Does that make sense? Like for most people, like who aren't familiar with it, hefting the sword the way that she does would make her look like, she can hurl cows. Does that make sense? But
Yeah.
like the reality is it's light as cork. It's like,
yeah.
So she lifts it, and you see her like she runs her fingers along the blade, and she says, "Did you accomplish this?"
Oof. I cannot say that the majority of the work was me. No.
She says, "Someone in your family?"
Oh no. He gestures to the pouch. A familial artifact is tend to keep in his pouch. But I mean, this is a newer
Is she drawing?
happening.
Is Hans drawing the Panzer hand out?
If she shows extra interest, yeah.
She is. She seems
Okay,
keenly
yeah.
interested.
He'll take it out and present it as well.
She says, "What family crest is this?" And she kind of runs her thumb over the mark of the Scatman man.
I did not notice that it changed. There used to be a different crest on here years ago at this point.
She says, "Draconeisen does not change."
That is the impression I was under until about, how long has it been? A few months, maybe?
Mhm.
Until about a few months ago. I had a chance encounter with a particular, he kind of like lowers his voice about a particular being of otherworldly nature. And this was part of the result of that. If you'd wish to discuss it, I'd be happy to give you a full, the full story, and perhaps out of earshot of the public.
Please secure this object and return it to its rightful place. It will be some time before I can return, but I am keenly interested.
And by the time they're walking and talking, by the time they've arrived, he just kind of gestures. I mean, if it's, upon your return, this is where you can find me. Or at least this is where I usually can be found within the city.
And was Runa going with him or just describing where?
She told him where she put it.
Okay. And was it just Hans, or I mean, I know Honorine was kind of or she busy looting still.
She's still the books are more important than the hot night lady right now.
Okay.
And Runa would love to go, but she said she'd help Honorine.
I just have this picture of like Honorine and Runa like sharing a look as like the hot night he leaves like sigh.
It's the sigh. Both of them like tap each other on the shoulder.
But she walks into like the office and they just sort of immediately like, what is that smell?
Oh, yeah, he has he has not been entirely dealt with after his passing.
The body is gone, and they've mopped this room, they've cleaned it, and
Oh
it
yeah,
still smells.
yeah.
And she
No,
just kind of
they
like
couldn't figure
covers
that
her
out.
mouth with the cloak.
Yeah,
It takes a little bit of like finding to, but you have Runa's exact directions. There's no roll required. And when the breastplate is like returned, um, she she breathes a sigh of relief. Um, says, "Let's get out of here."
yeah.
I am not much of a drinker, but do you have something?
Oh yes, of course. And he gestures to the bar. You had help yourself.
Yeah.
That's plenty.
Yeah, and whiskey is like there trying to like nudge his nose into a drink that
Sniffing at the glasses again.
Yeah. And she sets the breastplate down, and she's making like Draconite is nearly impossible to like damage in any way. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that like Fawn or Posen was able to snap the sword of his family was like a testament to her prowess because it's an insanely high target number.
Yeah.
And
still one of the scariest things that's ever happened.
but she's still like wrapping it and taking it carefully as though it were paper mache. Just
Oh yeah.
A cotton layer and then like a leather layer over that.
Yeah.
And probably also part of it is to disguise what it is. So, her hammer will be a mark of protection in every land against everything except common bandits. And from the way she walks, you don't think that common bandits are going to be much of a problem for her.
I mean, given the reputation of the Nibelung alone, even bandits might be scared to try and rob them.
Well, yeah, because the reputation is that the Konuk will come down on you and they will like skin you.
Send a
if you
full
harm
army
them.
after you and like kill your whole family and all your dead ancestors.
So, but she eyes the blade and like the bag where the panzer hand is like one more time. She says, "I don't dare to linger with this in my possession." She says, "But I thank you for your honesty and your quick return of it."
Oh, of course.
She says to the one who took it and safeguarded, she says, "If you'd present this," and there's like a little like coin that has a hammer on one side and a draken on the other, and it's made of Drakenisen.
Oh yes, of course. She'll be very happy about
Any
that.
Nibelungen will recognize it.
Very well. Present this as soon as I can.
A treat.
And it's like relatively small. Like this is the kind of thing like you could maybe forge into like a necklace drop or something, but
Yeah.
like, but it is, it's a recognition of like a deed done on behalf of the Nibelungen, and they don't forget those lately.
You got a challenge coin.
I would make sure to write that in your stuff too. You can just write Nibelungen coin.
How do I spell that?
Yeah.
NIBB. No, just kidding.
Okay, so so Hans is gonna be out of the scene, but I'm gonna assume that Len and Runa and Honoring, if they wish, can go talk to Garrett.
Honoring's gonna bring him some soup.
Okay. There are
And some
plenty of
rolls.
places they can find soup and rolls along the way. Those are like staples. He is in a different part of the Stone to Weizen, or no, sorry, yeah, a different part of the playground because that's where his shop is. And it's a pretty modest place, although and there's like a caretaker who answers the door. Clearly one who's been like temporarily employed. For Len and Runa coming into this place, they probably don't recognize it since Honorine has been a bit more steeped in like some of the folklore regarding the Shadow Man. Um, there are all sorts of like little protection seals and sigils and like don't come to my house kind of things over the doors and around the windows and kind of like every entrance that look like they've been here for some time. And she kind of the caretaker kind of like, can I assist you?
We're here to speak to Garrett, please.
Um, she says it's good that he has more visitors. She says his strength is still recovering though, so I'll ask you to keep your time with him short.
And so, provided she's allowed to, she's gonna go in and be like, I brought you soup. And
Yeah.
she's gonna make small talk or whatever. Like, she's not gonna dive straight into, like, what the fuck happened. But the question is on her face from the moment she walks in. And, like, also she feels kind of bad that she left him alone to apparently get the shit beaten out of him.
And shit beaten out of him doesn't quite cover it. They tried to kill him. Like some of the bandages indicate that he was run through with blades and was just smart enough to play dead after they were gone. But it was kind of like that he was to the point where if they had decided to like give one finishing blow to him to like finish it off, he would have been if the guard, and they probably would have if the guard had not arrived.
Yeah.
Think like somebody who can at most take 3 dramatic wounds because henchman not a full hero, and he took like fully 3, but wasn't executed. Does that make sense? Like he was out of commission, utterly helpless. So he's got sword wounds, he's got like bruises and what looks like a few breaks still. Says he says the pretty cat burglar.
Brought you soup. I figured you probably wouldn't be chewing anything for a while, so I kept it soft.
He says, thankfully, he says, all the teeth I've lost are already gone. And gives a bit of a, crooked smile at that.
Wait, did we secure the gems for him?
I mean, we can have. Siosa had said that it was emptied out, so I wasn't sure.
No. Like he emptied them into the vent. They were still there. They had like and they had been well hidden, so the ghosts never found them.
Yeah.
Oh,
So then, yeah, we would have secured them all back for him and
Yeah,
probably brought it with.
There is probably 4,000 or 5,000 guilder worth of gems.
And she's gonna, if they brought it with, then she's gonna kind of show him inside the bag and then ask him, where would you like this?
He says, I definitely owe you another finder's fee.
I would take knowing why on earth they attacked you.
He says, the leader of the ghost, this little git, he says he listened to Odell talk about how Keelgren was dead and how they needed to get back and stabilize territory. And he says the ghost, his name was Herman. He said, "Who put you in charge?" And Odell, he didn't hear the danger. Um, and he said that he was the highest ranking of those who worked for Stefan, and that's when they cracked his head open. Um, he says, hard hit too, I saw brain. He says, but they hit him again and again. He'd clearly done something that they didn't like him much for. He says, and then he stood up, he says, and he splashed blood and brain across my floor. Um, and said that Heelgren was theirs for the taking. And he says that one of them asked, what about heirs? And Herman, he just laughed. He says, you think anyone's fucked that git? He doesn't have any heirs. Says, distant cousins at best, a couple nobles will be fighting. Says, but I took offense to the blood, he says, uh, then they turned, he says, and realized I'd watched the whole thing. He says, they came straight at me. He says, I brought the crossbow up. He says, I think I took two of them down. It's all kind of a blur. He says, but then I was mostly shouting for help, he says, and scrambling for my life and getting impaled for my efforts.
I am so sorry.
I'm sorry I didn't shoot that bastard. He just
You
laughs.
got a couple of them.
Yeah, but he says, the bastard, he trailed brains all over my carpet. I should have just shot him. Shouldn't have said a damn thing.
Wow. If
We're
there's
okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we're definitely gonna need to let the other Iron Princes and Logan know what's likely to go on in that territory. No doubt they're already trying to decide how they're gonna divvy it out between themselves, but no matter what, some murderous little monster like the leader of the ghosts there should not be the one to be in power.
I wouldn't want to be living in Heelgren right now. He says, it's about to be shit pot. Chamber pot. Sorry, lady.
I didn't hear anything. Um, they sound like exactly the kind of people that Koenig would hire.
He says, yeah, I overheard him talking a few times about how they didn't have any intention of even paying me for their stay here.
Well,
You have your payment.
yeah.
That's why I didn't
And,
mind
like-
taking it before they left.
Nodding over to the bag.
If you need anything, send a message to the Bearhausen, and one of us will be happy to help you.
He smiles at that. Says, I wouldn't mind if somebody got an early start in cleaning up my place, but I can understand if blood's probably already dried at this point, so.
What do you want done with the things that Heelgren left behind?
There's a real big campfire out back, some benches around it. He Says, or give it to the little bastards, he says, who are always running around sending messages and tell them they can sell it.
Fair. All right. We'll send some people over. Honoring's just planning on getting people that, hang around to be like extras or whatever. Be like, go give them some hands.
Yeah. But they, do you have all your questions answered?
Yeah, I believe that's everything. Unless Len or Runa have anything else, or Hans.
No.
Okay. So yeah, you have some additional books to add to the collection that you already have. The money's been given to Garrett, and he definitely. I'm actually going to give you guys a 2-point reputation boost with the Council of Shadows, although you don't know it. Okay. So, we have a lot of people who have some stuff that they would like to get done. We are definitely going to be doing another downtime episode, because we have like half an hour left, and I don't think we've gotten to any specific item on somebody's list other than the getting his stuff back, and that was because I knew there would be some other story points that were involved. So,
Who's next?
yes. Um, so we're kind of moving now into like, uh, actually, I think I know who would want to be next. We're moving now into sort of like the next few days of downtime. There's going to be a meeting with Logan like over this time, but this is going to be a downtime that stretches over several weeks. So there'll be time to do things. And it's kind of, Len gets to do some running around, searching under, like searching for the murder house, or well, he already knows where the murder house is, but like going under it and stuff like that. I'm gonna have a generic keen senses plus whatever animal form he wants to use. Um, and and then we're gonna like move to something else.
Okay.
So
Yeah, he's looking for the murder house and kind of randomly patrolling for anything that smells rather like a slaughterhouse to his keener senses, and definitely is not one.
so yeah, go ahead and give me that roll.
27.
Okay. So what you're going to get as you kind of draw upon the senses of some animals and try to get like a firmer scent is it takes almost a full day for you to put it together because there's something distinctive that you smell in the murder house that you can't quite place, right? Um, and it is not until you are a day later when you're headed to like pick up Rosa from the courthouse, or not the courthouse, but the um
City Hall.
thank you, the city hall. um I don't know why that went out of my head, but and you pass the Wachtturm itself, and the Porte gateways that I've described being at the bottom of it that connect to the top. When the portals open, there is a smell associated with Porte, a very particular tang of blood that does not occur just because a body has blood in it. Does that make sense? Or is shed in battle or anything? It's just this very sort of specific and unique scent that is like seeped into the murder house. Like it
That
is
would
like so
explain
much
some
Porte
things.
has happened there that like the smell still lingers days or weeks after.
All right. Well, he's definitely going to pass that information around to the team as he encounters them. But probably going to wait until after date night to discuss it. Seems
Remind
kind of
me.
rude to.
Remind me
Okay.
which murder house this is. Like what
So
what house is it?
it's down in Feinharth's area. And it's a house that is kind of amidst others. Like most of the houses in the area are rented, but this one has continued to remain unrented. I think Gav did some research on who actually owned it.
It was one of Redmond Earhart's places.
Yes.
And why are we calling it the murder house? Like, what happened
Because
here?
it smells like corpses and there's bits of, like,
Lots of
Bodies that have
bloodstains on
fallen
the
through the
floor.
cracks.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
it
they
just
found.
looks like an actual like people slaughterhouse.
Okay.
abattoir.
Yep.
But only in the
Yeah.
basement, I think. That's where we found the effects.
Yeah, and now
The
we
random personal bits and bobs.
I think
Now
it's
we know
like the
why,
rings
'cause
have
nobody
fallen through the
was-
So-
floorboards.
Redmond had bought, if Gav is going back to look at it, Redmond had owned it originally because he owned almost all the property in the city, but he'd leased it and then sold it multiple times. The final person that it was sold to was was to a business, not an individual. And
What
that
business was
business is the clay firing and pottery and ceramics business that is the largest business in Fine Hearth. But they own a lot of properties. Like,
But they
Yeah.
own one that they've apparently never used or looked in the basement for.
it's not unreasonable, like because they have like a number of different, like Gav knows that they have a number of different businesses that they will let some of the newest arrivals who are working for them live in instead of living in the tent city. Like they're basically bunkhouses that they can shove 40 people into. This one might have been intended to be renovated for that use, but it is obviously like not been put to any purpose.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I remember correctly from that episode, that was like the second episode Gav was in.
It was a while ago.
It was a while ago. If I remember correctly, it didn't look like anybody had been there in a while.
Correct.
But yeah, it's like there was no sign of it being lived in or walked through. It was just there was this crap in the basement.
Yeah, and if they're just portaying into and out of the basement to do whatever they were doing, that would explain why the upper levels appeared untouched. They never needed to go there. They could just step into this place, do whatever.
There was no actual basement to the place, I believe. What it was is that there was an area under it that had been hollowed out by the rat catchers
It
that
was
everything
like
had fallen
crawl
into.
space. It was like a
Yeah,
crawl space.
yeah. Not a full proper
Oh, no,
like basement
yeah.
basement.
It seems like possibly someplace somebody has been using to get rid of problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've initially thought it was related to the Strausses, or the Krauses, the murderers, but you
Yeah,
said
they had
that
no
wasn't-
particular connection
yeah.
to it.
No.
All right. So it's after, days of investigation and kind of putting this together, like a peaceful night's sleep. Len goes to bed and he has a dream that starts out with pain. Like the first thing he feels is teeth sinking into his arm. And he feels himself roaring and kind of like thwacking a wolf out of the way. And it's after like a few more moments of like bites and growls. And as he realizes like he's in bear form, Inusura being attacked by a pack of wolves. And he realizes kind of like as one of the bites comes a little bit close to like the damaged ear, that it's like not a dream. He's experiencing what his bear is experiencing.
Oh no. And he can't direct it at all, can he?
No, because it's the bear's body. Does that make sense? But what he's seeing is like the one of the most ferocious fights that he's ever seen. And he's realizing that like the wolf that is coming at his bear has deep green eyes. And his bear is like, fighting like a fucking grizzly bear, which means that some of the not shape changed bears, he sees his bear just like, I'm not gonna go into detail here because we have people who are very sensitive about animal violence either way. But it's blood, teeth, like ripping, and he can see his bear like step by step is like losing the battle. Does that make sense? There are enough here that it's too large for any natural wolf pack. And the way that the one with green eyes is coming after is almost lazily, like he's playing with it. Does that make sense? And you can see that there are others that are like circling, that are still like waiting to kind of like join into the fray. He's heavily outnumbered. And Then there's a screech, and there's a moment of like blindness as like the bear looks up, and a firebird that is fully as large as the grizzly bear lands and like assembles into the form of a woman. Um, Len knows who it is. It's Tamara. It's one of the like the equivalent of the Iron Princess in Usura. She's the one who has the curse that she cannot be lied to.
Oh, yes.
Um,
The merchant
and
princes.
uh, her voice is angry. And she says, "You are the Gaius. This is beneath you." Um, and her eyes are literally flaming, and like you can see, like flames are kind of like flickering off her fingers. You don't know much about like the form of the Firebird, only that it's like her Konagrik sort of special animal that only they can transform into. Um, and the wolf simply studies her, and you can tell there's no like change in its features, but you can tell that it's smiling. Um, and he speaks and he says, "I am the Gaius. Whatever play I choose to engage in is my right." Um, and he takes a step forward. He still hasn't transformed out of his wolf form. He says, "Are you opposing my right to rule?" And Tamara gives a half smile, and she draws the blade at her side. And you watch like the blade as she touches it, everything on it just like bursts into flame as well. And she says, "If all we have to do to become a Gaius is murder the last one, it seems the most logical thing to do." Um, and Tamara says, "I'm not fooled by hair dye."
Yeah, that makes
She
sense.
smiles and she says, "Tell me what the mother said to you when she gave you the mantle." Um, and he opens his mouth and nothing comes out. And Tamara kind of smiles and says, "I thought not." Um, and the wolf growls and then turns away. Um, and the pack starts to like move in to follow. And Tamara kind of like takes a half step back and like steadies herself on the the bear's shoulder for just a moment. And she says to it, like, "If you breathe a word of this to anyone, I will kill you," she says, "but I was about to piss myself there." And
Well, I'd say
she
something if I could.
and the bear just kind of like gives her a nuzzle that leaves like half her face bloody. And she kind of, like it clearly compassion crosses her face, and she kind of touches like the side of his, and she says, "Let's get you somewhere we can stitch you up." And the bear kind of like, pushes himself into movement. He's like, there are drops of blood like where he walks, in passing, but his strength and his tenacity that he will endure. Um, but he's going to need time in recovery. And that's kind of like when Len wakes up with all of like the pain of like he doesn't have any injuries, but he does absolutely feel like he just got chewed on by a wolf pack.
Oh. Well, those dreams are starting to hurt now. That's great. Everything's coming up Len these days. He's gonna think about
In
it for a moment. Then he's definitely gonna go talk to Kathrinia and when her brother.
So there was a question that was just asked in the cast
Oh,
chat where Rosa asked if Rosa was there. And I was like, I don't know, is Rosa spending the night at
It's a
Len's? Because
joke.
that's
It's
a
a
question
joke.
I
It's a
think.
joke.
Okay.
Len she'd have an open invitation from the ass of Asura,
You can
but
spend the night with someone without fucking them.
yeah,
I think we're just all curious about the tea of if she did spend the night still. Um, all right. So,
I'm guessing
um,
the answer is not.
Yeah, and
So
Katharina is there.
yeah.
And the and like as you come downstairs, you can hear them talking. She's like, "You have to go back to your own province. You can't stay here. Fischler is going to need you." And Falk is just sort of like, "Yes, and it can wait another day. I haven't seen you in a decade."
Well,
Um,
and Len will just be like, well, it probably can wait, but things as they do got a little more complicated. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it is something that we need to think about, and you two at least need to plan for.
The bearer of bad news.
The bearer of bad news, yes.
um,
The herald of doom.
and Falk looks up. He says it was just trying to talk to her about everything happening in Usura and where we go from here.
Yes. Well, um, I'm trusting you both here with some important information that cannot leave this room. Um, I
Catherine
have,
is like, Catherine is like, I'm that kind of information. So
yeah, but I just felt the need to say it. From time to time, I've been given visions by Matrushka and some of her servants, things that have warned of great danger and great change, and they have thus far proven to be true, or at least true enough to allow us to head off catastrophe. My most recent dream was about my bear. You may not know this, Bulk, but we make a pact with animals important to us to gain their forms. My bear is pretty beat up now, but he is still alive. He was being attacked by the fake Gaius, um, who was confronted by, and I'll look at Katharina on this one, confronted by Tamara, as he had gathered an unnatural wolf pack and was actually attacking my wolf, though, or my bear. Although I don't think he knew it was my bear, just that it was a big tough bear.
and
Um,
she looks a little surprised. She says, I think that was Tamara has never been fond of me.
no, but I think she's even less fond of the the Gaius who could not tell her in her presence what the mother said to him when she bestowed Gaiushood upon him. And she said she is not fooled by hair dye. He had nothing to say to that
She
and
just
turned
kind of
left.
she does like laugh aloud at that.
Yeah.
Um,
So we can't prove it. None of this would be, admissible anywhere, of course, but that's absolute proof that he is not actually the Gaius. He does not have Mother's blessing, and he is just pretending and abusing his power, which is unsurprising for him.
she says, I I didn't make pacts with any animals as you did. She says,
Maybe,
when Matushka gave me her gift, she says it was just like, she says, I change into things, she says, more with a panic.
yeah.
She says, when I first became the bird that you saw, it was because I was jumping out of a window.
It
And it sort of happened on the way down.
yeah. It does seem to come in times of great need. Um,
Well,
no
and
matter how much you
that's it is
practice.
different, like from how he understands. Like if
Yeah,
Len had jumped out the window and he didn't have a pre-existing pact with a bird,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? He would just hit the ground really hard.
And
So,
he's like, maybe it's different when you're the Gaius because you're given the direct blessing of the mother. I don't know. She never really talked to me until she gave me my powers back and sent me here.
just as I definitely would have remembered meeting a Draken.
Yeah, yep. But so there's that. And then do we know um if that whole army is still headed this way? Does anybody
Falk,
have any information?
Folk kind of it's the heart of Usura and an army moving through it. None of us have any spies moving that way.
Well, that may be something we want to correct, or at least everybody who may be in the path may want to correct. I'm not a spy master. I'm just a guy who can turn into a cat. But I
Runa
know
kind of
that,
laughs and like same.
yep. But I know that this is, no matter where they go at this point, it's going to have effects even down here. Whether they're coming straight for us or they're trying to march through other territories that are then going to have issues that ripple all the way through to Freeburg.
She says there may be something though. She says, I know the cities that Montague would have to pass close by in order to be this way, or those that he might have passed already. Um, if I could get a message to people within them, should I spent years while the Gaius was running Usuri into the ground, building up connections of people that I could help pass messages, hide people, keep them from his wrath until it had blown over. The majority of the time it did. He one weekend wanted to wipe out an entire town. The next weekend he'd forgotten its name.
Yeah, well, we can definitely get some messengers going. It'll cost a bit for the really good, really secure ones, but I think the cost will be worth it for the information. Is if they are heading this way, we have to start preparing now, or at least as close to now as possible.
She nods.
If you write the letters, I'll get them sent out.
I'll get to work on them.
Yeah,
At least we
but
can know if he's coming, and if so, perhaps I can make plans along with him. But returning as an Eisen Gaius with a Montane army doesn't exactly strike me as the best way to get the loyalty of the people.
no, but if he is heading this way, do we even know why?
Because he doesn't have any boats.
Oh,
They were burned. Did
oh
you
yeah,
not hear about this?
I thought he was going to stay and actually take over Asura, but
Says no, he's been marching towards when he was marching towards the Drakensberg Mountains. The ships that brought them to Montaigne, the admiral who came after with who supposedly reinforcements didn't reinforce anything. He sailed into the harbor and lit all of the boats aflame and turned around.
oh yeah. I mean, it's definitely a way to make sure everybody stays on task, I suppose, but definitely pretty heavy-handed.
It says, but it means that in order to return to Montaigne, he has to go through Eisen.
Or park here long enough to procure as many boats as possible. Depends on how he wants to go.
Uh,
Well,
she
all
kind
right.
of she looks thoughtful and she says, I'm not sure how well that will go.
I'm not either, but we also need to at least start thinking about or address what your plans are, Katernia. Are you going to try and build support and go back and take over? Are you just going to go
Can't
back to your brother's lands and
I
live
can't
quietly now?
I can't do anything but return.
I know. I always knew. You put too much of your blood and yourself into the land trying to keep everything going. You can't, in good conscience, abandon those people now. As we know what their new ruler is like.
She says, my own imperator asked me to provide information to Eisen on their behalf, and I declined.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and her face kind of there's like a heaviness to it. She says, that was the first time I've said it aloud, that I'm going to return.
Makes it more real. Put it out in the world.
Can you arrange a meeting between me and Wilma and Logan.
Absolutely.
Discreetly, if
Of
possible.
course. Yeah. Discreet is good, but I can make it happen.
And she stands and kind of squeezes Lynn's shoulder and says, I'll go write those letters.
Okay. I'll go start making arrangements for a meeting. And Falk, love having you around. You should have another date with Honorine before you go.
There's another reason I stuck around.
Good man. Pat, pat. Do you need me to pass her a message, or are you going to handle that yourself?
Haven't decided yet.
All right, let me know.
Says, but spontaneity and noble women don't really go well together, so
Oh, yeah, but you kind of want to keep her off guard, pull her out of her comfort zone a little, you know.
yeah. So we don't really have enough time for like a full scene. We've got about like 10 more minutes. But I wanted to kind of like do a little bit of like wrap up of some of the things from like the Iron Princess. One is that before Posen leaves, there is a letter for Runa that arrives.
Oh.
And when she opens
Is she gonna ask me out on a date? I'm kidding.
Well, Posen isn't there. It's just like delivered. With it comes a like mastercrafted dagger. That is like clearly something that was commissioned while she was here, but after the meeting with everyone. Does that make sense? And when you open the letter itself, it's written on the back of like an easel style parchment. And I haven't written it all out, but the letter is you are charming and beautiful. If you were a man, I would be dragging you back to my lands, even if it risked war with Seeger. But you are not. You are young and beautiful and sweet, and I would like to do things to you that would hurt you badly. And you are too young and too sweet for me to think it right to do those things yet.
Yet. Huzzah!
And when you turn it over, it's like a frozen moment of time. Most painters like require the ability to look at what they're doing, and Posen's incredible memory has been mentioned a few times, but it's like one of the most breathtaking examples of it because it's literally the moment where she had her knife out underwater and was cutting the dress off of Runa. Does that make sense? It's the moment in water where like there's bubbles coming out of her mouth and everything. She's sort of like half undressed. It's a mixture of like determination and fear, and like the most remarkable thing about it is like even Runa, like that's her own face, but her lips look really kissable in it. And that's the moment, like sort of captured and translated onto paper with what looks like, you know, sharpened sticks of coal and nothing
Furious, livid.
else.
Wow. Wow. So she also has a dagger.
Mhm.
Brilliant.
It's got the symbol of Posen on it. Like you're guessing it's more a matter of like she could present it to somebody, be like, this was given to me by Fauna Posen, and if they were familiar with her, they'd recognize it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. If Runa ever goes missing, you know where she is.
We'll be able to hear the moans from Freiburg, I'm sure.
The other
That's
thing I want to
fun.
say about the drawing is that like there's a painful awareness of how youthful Runa's features are in it. Does that make sense? Just saw chat.
Yeah. I love it here.
So the other thing is, so I'm gonna have it be like Hans who actually gets word, and may want to pass to Honorine because Honorine was the one who had the most interactions with Heinzel. Um, Philip Neff is imprisoned in the jail for the meantime. He was taken by the actual guardsmen and not like Gav's secret basements. He was the miner that was present who claimed that he had been like forced to do things by the Belaskier. Um, and they call Hans mostly because like he's of a position that they're really not sure what to do with him. And the guard who's been interrogating him is the one that calls Hans. And it's probably like a request to Honorine that's phrased in the form of like someone more familiar with the Iron Prince and what he might wish. So Philip Neff is not just a miner. He is, and the guard is kind of explaining this as like they're outside of like the area where they have him detained. He is the foreman of George Heinzel's Dracheneisen mines.
Oh.
His participation in an attempt to take Heinzel's life is like
Trying to overthrow.
big time treason. And is probably ample evidence that like he was covering something up himself, like something that he was like. This man is in a position that would afford him an enormous amount of like wealth and affluence personally, by virtue of like you don't like there are few things that like Iron Princes are like, yeah, do whatever you want, take whatever you need, like, and the people that deal with their Dracheneisen are like the biggest on that list.
Oh yeah.
And the guard is like, he cracked in an hour. He admitted to years of theft. He's been selling Dracheneisen. The raw ore, not finished pieces.
I mean,
He's been underwriting the mine's output for over a decade.
This was Heinzel or von Vischa?
Heinzel.
Okay.
And when you say it's clear that he was covering something up, do you mean the miner or do you mean Heinzel himself?
The miner. Like, this is years of embezzlement.
Mm-hmm.
And basically joining the Relaskier as an opportune thing to be like, oh, look, the Iron Prince is dead.
Oh no, I guess I can have the, yeah. Oh.
So what does Hans do with that?
This is unprecedented.
Is it actually unprecedented? Oh, sorry.
I'll pass this along to one more familiar with Nikolai himself to see what we should do. He cracked it under in an hour. It is props to you and everyone else. That's a good time. But that aside,
good torture, buddy. Good torture.
He's like, I didn't even have to torture him. I just gave him the long stare and cracked my knuckles a lot, and he started spilling his guts.
You know, sometimes that is all it takes.
I mean, I've got arthritis, so this hand cracks really hard.
Oh, yeah, I don't.
He kind of demonstrates, it's like,
yeah, even, I mean, yeah, that would be rather intimidating. But yeah, thank you for informing me as soon as you did. This is.
I guess the question is, do we want to take care of this ourselves or send him to Heinzel? They might be able to recuperate some of what they lost if they can find out who he sold it to.
Yeah, that was my thinking. If we were to send him back to Heinzel, they will obviously punish him severely, but they can at least try and regain some of their lost assets and whatnot. I'll confirm with someone a bit more familiar with the Koenig himself, but so far it seems like the best option is to send him home. You wouldn't mind holding him for another maybe day or so, would you?
I'll hold him for another year.
Wonderful. I'll get
Even
back to you as
feed
soon
him
as
if
I
he's
can
well
on this.
behaved.
But thank you again. He's gonna quickly head over and find Honorine to relay that and kind of be like, "What do you think?"
And when he relays it to Honorine, she's pissed. When he is talking about it, she's like, he was embezzling from one of the sweetest men I've ever met. Excuse me?
Yeah, that was kind of my thoughts. He's been doing this for years to this poor man.
I think probably Rosa is included on this conversation as well because she'd been Heinzel's escort the entire first bit. So
Oh yeah, true.
It's time for La Chunkla.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, my thoughts have been to send him back to his homeland, and perhaps the Koenig and his people can recoup some assets. But I don't know if he was selling raw ore. There's obviously no paper trail to follow, so who knows?
What was he doing with those people?
I mean, my theory is that he was just looking for an opportunity. I mean, he sees, perhaps if he's already engaged in some, skullduggery, he's familiar with, ties to the underground and the criminal world and whatnot. He hears about some group going after the Koenigs and sees an opportunity to make it easier to make even more money off of his, already likely vast criminal empire. People will pay through the nose for even the raw ore, even if they know they cannot, do anything with it themselves.
I don't understand. So he was in a position to have as much money as he possibly could have wanted.
Yeah.
And then he went bad with it. And then he did something even more stupid. That doesn't make sense. Can we talk to this man? Let's talk to this man before we send him back.
He's in Houghton, yeah. That is.
So we're like 3 minutes over at this point. So we can either we can do that as like a quick scene if everybody's okay with staying a few minutes longer, or we can roll that into the next part. I also have a little bit of like a kind of teaser of something else that they're gonna realize during that time. And
Siosa.
mhm.
Siosa said you wouldn't end on cliffhangers. Siosa.
This is not like a huge cliffhanger.
Siosa, you said.
You said.
Okay.
It's a slippery slope, man. Once you start, you just can't stop.
It is. Plus, we have next week off, so it is kind of rude to do that on a downtime week. Yeah, I'm sorry. So, and I'm about to go into like 2 weeks of like nonstop work, so I will actually really appreciate it.
Yep.
But that does seem like a good place to like pull our curtain down. We'll have some more stuff with the Iron Princes when we come back. We'll also have more downtime. I think we barely scratched the surface of kind of like what we were going to do there. But I am intending that probably the next 2, maybe 3 episodes are going to be downtime because this is going to be sort of like a rest period. So
finally.
Hey, I try to like work them in very frequently, but I don't know. So it was every Iron Prince of Eisen at one place at one time. It had to be a little bit exciting. So
yeah, it can't go smoothly when you have all of these people there.
Do we have an RP award for 2 people?
Gav, I liked Gav and Rosa's conversation about Vodachi and the Strega kind of background. So I nominate those two actually for that conversation.
I liked it too.
Yeah,
It's a good one. Yeah,
that sounds good.
I support it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then both of you will take an extra one. We're going to do 3 because there's more minimal risk in this one.
Yep.
Some of the other things that we're going to be covering the next time is kind of like what's going to be going on with the whole explosives that were underneath, because they have not all been recovered.
Yeah.
Like the ones that have been recovered were the ones that were directly under the building, and those have been secured and stuff like that. But like,
There's a lot of explosives that are.
Yeah, there's only one person who
Yeah.
knows where all of them are.
Yeah.
Gab wants to talk to her still.
Yeah, and I imagine that he's not the only one who wants to talk to Margot.
Yeah.
So that's going to be covered. We're also probably going to have some. Runa will have the potion for. It does arrive intact. The potions to fix up men. So
Maybe we'll have Arthur next time so that we can ask him about the she.
Yay!
God, I
Oh,
hope
yeah.
so.
yes,
Please.
let's hope so.
We need our man on the inside.
It's true.
And hope that he's still our man on the inside.
He's always our guy.
Hope he hasn't been sleeping with any more shape-shifting women.
Replaced by pod people.
Before every conversation, it's like, now, before we get any further, how are you at swimming?
All right. So, thank you for everyone watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit subscribe, and comment in the down below. Here at 20, we always sign out with the same call to action: to be nice. Be kind when you have the spoons, but even when you're not, be nice. Be nice to strangers, be nice to family, be nice to your loved ones, and be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and see you next time.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Night, y'all.
See